Have you ever felt it? That quiet, uncomfortable feeling in a crowded room. You're surrounded by people, friends, family, colleagues, but you feel utterly alone. You're physically present, but your mind is a million miles away, watching, analyzing, and questioning everything. The conversations around you, the gossip, the jokes, the small talk about TV shows or what someone ate for lunch, feel like a foreign language you can no longer speak. You smile, you nod, you play the part, but inside you feel a deep, cavernous disconnect, as if you're a scientist observing an alien species, trying to understand their bizarre rituals. If you've ever felt this, you're not alone. In fact, you might just be experiencing the most subtle, yet profound burden of a highly active mind. The curse of intelligence. This isn't about being an antisocial recluse or a bitter misanthrope. It's a quiet, existential struggle that many of us face, but rarely speak about. We try to suppress it, to act normal, to force ourselves to enjoy what everyone else seems to enjoy. But it's a fight we can't win, because the more you see, the more you understand, the harder it becomes to simply exist in a world that seems built on blissful ignorance and comfortable distraction. Long before the age of social media, one of history's most profound and pessimistic thinkers, Arthur Schopenhauer, identified this very struggle. Schopenhauer, a German philosopher who saw the world as a place of ceaseless suffering and endless struggle, had a deeply unsettling yet eerily accurate take on intelligence and social life. He believed that the very qualities that make a person brilliant, their capacity for deep thought, their relentless need for truth, their ability to see through illusions, also make them fundamentally incompatible with society. To understand why, we have to grasp Schopenhauer's core philosophy. For him, life was driven by a blind, irrational force he called the will. The will is an unending, insatiable desire that drives all of us to seek pleasure, avoid pain, and reproduce. Most people, he argued, are completely enslaved by this will. They spend their lives chasing fleeting pleasures, social status, and endless distractions. These are the people who are never truly alone, who fill every moment with noise and company, terrified of the silence that would force them to confront the emptiness within. But then, there are the few, the truly intelligent. The ones who are not only aware of this will, but have a profound capacity to see beyond it. Schopenhauer believed that the intelligent mind is the only one capable of transcending this mindless cycle. They don't just live, they observe. They don't just experience, they analyze. They don't just believe, they question. And this capacity to question is precisely what separates them from the crowd and dooms them to a life of quiet alienation. Think about it. Imagine you're at a party. Everyone is laughing, drinking, and exchanging small talk. But the intelligent mind isn't just listening to the words, it's dissecting them. It's asking uncomfortable questions that no one else is. Why is everyone so obsessed with gossip? What is the real motive behind that person's seemingly innocent compliment? What are these unspoken social rules we're all following, and why do they feel so artificial? The intelligent person sees the performance, the social scripts, and the deep-seated fears that everyone else is too busy distracting themselves to notice. They see that most conversations are not about a genuine exchange of ideas, but a choreographed dance to reinforce social status and avoid uncomfortable truths. It's like trying to have a serious conversation in a loud nightclub. You can't help but notice the noise, the triviality, and the absurdity of it all. For the intelligent, this noise never stops. Schopenhauer captured this perfectly, saying, "A man can be himself only so long as he is alone, and if he does not love solitude, he will not love freedom. For it is only when he is alone that he is really free." For the brilliant mind, solitude isn't a punishment. It's a sanctuary. It's the only place where they are free from the endless performance, the meaningless chit-chat, and the suffocating pressure to conform. In solitude, they can be their true, unfiltered selves. They can read, think, and create without the fear of judgment or the need to water down their ideas for others. Schopenhauer believed that the more profound a person's inner world, the less they need from the external one. But this isn't just about preferring quiet time. This is about a fundamental mismatch between the inner world of the intelligent and the outer world of the average. The intelligent mind is built for depth, while society is largely built for surface. Let's be brutally honest for a moment. Most people's lives are an endless series of distractions. We fill our days with work, entertainment, social media, and a constant stream of new information, all to avoid a simple, terrifying truth. The world is complex, often unfair, and ultimately meaningless without the meaning we give it. We are all going to die, and our lives are just a brief flicker of consciousness in a vast, indifferent universe. This isn't a pessimistic statement. It's a fact. Most people, in their wisdom, ignore it. But the intelligent person cannot. They see it everywhere. They see the absurdity of people arguing over petty things while the world burns. They see the fleeting nature of every pleasure and the inevitable suffering that comes with every desire. This awareness, rather than bringing peace, often leads to a profound sense of alienation. How do you engage in casual conversation about a new show when you're constantly thinking about the impermanence of all things? How do you pretend to care about a social rivalry when you've already deconstructed it down to its base animalistic instincts? The truth is, you can't. This is the uncomfortable secret of intelligence. It is a lens that reveals the flaws, absurdities, and suffering of the world. And once you've looked through it, you can't unsee what you've seen. This brings us to a paradox. While Schopenhauer was right that intelligence and solitude are deeply intertwined, he also showed us the danger of taking it too far. The man who championed solitude was also a deeply lonely, miserable, and bitter individual. He had very few friends and spent much of his life in isolation, convinced that most people were foolish and not worth his time. This is where Schopenhauer's philosophy becomes a cautionary tale. The solitude that can nurture wisdom can also become a prison. When does solitude turn into a prison? It happens when it ceases to be a choice and becomes a necessity. When the deep, intellectual loneliness turns into a deep, human loneliness. Schopenhauer's mistake was to believe that because most social interactions are shallow, all human connection is worthless. He failed to see that even the most intelligent minds need to connect with others on a fundamental human level. This is the central challenge for the intelligent mind today: how to find the balance between meaningful solitude and meaningful connection. Schopenhauer taught us that we need solitude to find ourselves, to escape the noise, and to think deeply. But he also showed us that we can't live in that solitude forever without turning cynical and bitter. So, if you're one of the many who feels this quiet alienation, what do you do? The answer is not to try to become like everyone else. That is a game you will always lose. The answer is not to completely withdraw from the world, because that is a fate that will leave you empty. The answer is selective engagement. It is the conscious decision to choose depth over quantity. It is about understanding that you will not thrive in every social situation, and that is okay. You don't need 100 acquaintances. You need a few deep, meaningful connections. You don't need to attend every party. You need to find the settings where authentic, intellectual exchange is possible. You don't need to engage in every conversation. You need to protect your energy and only participate in the ones that feel real. The brilliant minds of history, from Leonardo da Vinci to Albert Einstein, all had a profound need for solitude. But none of them lived in total isolation. They sought out other brilliant minds. They found a few people with whom they could share their ideas, their fears, and their inner worlds without fear of being judged or misunderstood. They chose their company with the same rigor they chose their pursuits. Perhaps this is the ultimate wisdom Schopenhauer left us with. He showed us that intelligence is indeed a double-edged sword, a gift that allows us to see the world as it truly is, and a curse that alienates us from it. But we don't have to be enslaved by either side. We can choose. We can choose to embrace our solitude as a source of strength, but we can also choose to find connection on our own terms, with people who can meet us on the same intellectual and emotional wavelength. So the next time you feel that profound loneliness in a crowded room, remember that it is not a flaw in you. It is a sign that you are a stranger in a strange land, a stranger who sees more than most. The question is, will you let that feeling lead you to bitter isolation, or will you use it as a compass to find the few genuine connections that truly matter? Will you allow your solitude to make you a genius or a misanthrope?